accomplishments are quick to explain why they haven't, why they don't, why they can't, and why they aren't. Study the lives of successful people, and you'll discover this. All the excuses made by the mediocre fellow could be, but aren't made by the successful person. Now, that's talking about success in life. We can easily use this for your own spiritual life. Where do you want to be spiritually? Where do you want to see yourself going? Like, what do you want to attain out of your relationship with God? What excuses might you possibly be making right now at your young age that would make you think, like, I couldn't be here because of X, Y, and Z? Because I do it. I've been entrapped by this myself. Everybody has. But I don't want to be that way. And as what Mr. Holster said tonight, he's like, he's tired of that. He's tired of looking around and seeing what I consider to be like an average Christianity. One where we don't see God doing amazing things only because of our own excuses. Our own decisions about not really going for all that we can with God. So the 4 different forms of excuse-itis that he uses here, the first one being health. Health excuse-itis. My health isn't good. How many times have you heard somebody, you say something to somebody, hey, can you go do this? Oh, I can't because of, I'm not feeling very well, or, I hurt my foot, so I can't really go outside and work, and I have the sniffles, so I couldn't possibly go outside. Quite honestly, when I was growing up on my dad's farm, even if I was so sick I was throwing up, I was still required to go outside and milk cows. Somebody had to milk them. And that totally changed like how I did things. It was like, well, this isn't an excuse I can use anymore. I have to just man up, as the term is, man up and go out there and milk the cows. What about you guys? Like, oh, I'm just not feeling very well right now, and I just don't want to get anybody else sick, so I'm not going to go visit people. I'm not going to go to church. Now, if you got something like Ebola or some like really bad disease, I would suggest that you quarantine yourself. But even if you can't visit somebody in person, we live in a day and age where you can electronically be in the same room with somebody. How many of you have used FaceTime or have emailed somebody or texted somebody? Yet you don't use any of it for any spiritual good, most likely. How many of you guys have called your friend out of the blue and just wanted to check up on how he was doing? We have one hand. Great. Yeah. But how many of you are just like, I'm just so sick, I couldn't even bear to look at my brother. I'm going to close my shades. I'm going to lay here in bed. I'm going to be a lazy leech off of my mom, and she's going to bring me everything I want. And, oh, Mom, and bring me a smoothie, please. Your health shouldn't be what hampers you. How many Bible stories can you think of off the top of your head of somebody who had some sort of infirmity, but God still used that person? Paul. What was his infirmity? Do you remember?
Like a speech problem or something?
Well,
like that?
yeah, it was one of those, but he also had like runny eyes. It talks about like having, he must have, speculation is that when he had his encounter on the road to Damascus and he went blind, those scales fell off, that it was like a thorn in his flesh, but a way to keep him humble. Because God had done such amazing work in him, he could be puffed up. He could be proud, like, whoa, God, Jesus revealed himself to me in the road to Damascus. But it was like his mark of ownership. God allowed him to have that as a way to, and he prayed for it to go away. And God finally told him, I'm not going to take this from you. Jacob in the Bible wrestled with an angel. And the angel touched him and on the hip. And forever he walked with a limp after that. But did that stop Jacob from being something of a major Bible character? Absolutely not. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if it's a health issue, but Moses had a speech
A
impediment.
speech? Yeah, he did. He made excuses. I couldn't possibly go do that. But God got so frustrated with him, he nearly killed him. I mean, but Moses still went on to do an amazing thing. He had to get over it. He was trying to make excuses, but he did something. And so the same could be for you guys. Like, maybe you guys have something that makes you feel inferior because I'm not as physically gifted. Like, my health isn't, I'm not as strong physically as that person. I couldn't possibly take on that task. They're just better suited for it. I've done that before. I'm just not the right man for the job. How do I know? I haven't even tried. So how do you overcome that? Well, refuse to talk about your health is what he says. Refuse to worry about your health. Now, what he means that he's not talking about like never go to make sure that you're not dying, but refuse to think about it on a daily basis as like, I'm in a wheelchair, say, and I'm completely disabled. I couldn't possibly give anything because how could I possibly if I'm in a wheelchair? Don't think about that. You're still very capable as an invalid to speak life into people and be an example for somebody. Don't let that be what keeps you down. Number 2, excusitis, is intelligence. How many of you have ever felt like you're just not smart enough? Like, they're way smarter than me. They're just better suited to talk about these things. They're better suited to do the job that's at hand. I would just much rather stay back because I don't know what I'm doing. I've been there too. Everybody's like, I lack brains. But in this little section, he goes on to talk about how some of the most brilliant people are the ones that don't do a thing. It's what we call armchair quarterbacks. They're the ones that sit down and they can tell you everything that went wrong, why it went wrong, and why that person failed and why they should never try again. But they've never tried to attempt anything themselves.